son. Where'd you find this?
Don't be offended by the truth. They be offended because you called out the truth. Simple as that. They don't want to hear any other narrative that makes them look bad.
One thing I can't stand at this big grown age is somebody who acts like cause and effect does not exist. Like, yes, your actions caused this outcome. Yes, what you did lit the match. Like, why are you surprised and playing victim?
That is Chico. They never lie.
That's how you know somebody doesn't respect you. They listen to reply, not to be understood. They cut you off. They minimize what actually matters to you. They laugh at your boundaries, and then they call you sensitive when you try to hold the line. They show up late. They cancel last minute. Forget the things you've told them because in their world, your time, your energy, even your voice aren't a priority. They're just an option. You see, there are two kinds of people. Those who adjust when they realize they've actually hurt you, and those who expect you to adjust so they don't have to change. You don't need to be disrespected loudly to be disrespected deeply. Sometimes you'll see it. It's just in their tone, in their patterns, in the silence after you're known. Respect isn't what they say when they're watching. It's how they act when they think you'll.
What up, what up, what up, what up? Good evening, folks. What's the word? What's the word? Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Peace, blessings, glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. How you feeling? How should we going? I hope well. Saturday is right around the corner. Matter of fact, we've already started the weekend. I hope you're safe on the road. I hope you're being responsible. You're not drinking and driving. We got a lot to talk about tonight. Shout outs to my poets, writers, and content creators. Shout outs to the good people in the comments section. Adam, I see you in the building. Salutes to you. Salutes to everybody that's been showing love over the last couple of months on this journey that had these type of conversations, man, these important ones, the ones that they don't really want to have with the people without the filter. Sky Hunter, salutes to you. I hope all is well with you. You see the title, we got two we're going to cover tonight. We got the Bachelorette show getting canceled. Domestic abuse. That seems to be the theme for this evening. That seems to be the theme. People can't keep their hands to themselves. False accusations. It's going down. Boosie is looking for the woman, lying on him, trying to ruin his career and his reputation. Yes, I absolutely love Jesus. I give him all praise, glory, and honor. Before I even start the show, that's the first thing I do before anything. I got a clip. I got two. I want to focus on this one first, though. Just in case you're not familiar, because I'm still new. I don't know who she is for real. But I'm gonna bring this clip up on the big screen. I'm gonna run it through. We're gonna cover this first, then we're gonna go into the other portion of the show. Shout outs to everybody on IG. I see y'all over there. I appreciate you for tuning in. However long you are here, I appreciate you. Let's get this up on the big screen. Amen and amen to the chat. Amen and amen again. Let me switch this over. There we go. And I'm gonna let this one run. Just about a minute.
Confirmed the cancellation of the latest season of The Bachelorette, and Taylor Frankie Paul may face new charges. Just as the show was about to air, Taylor Frankie Paul has once again become embroiled in a domestic violence controversy. In 2023, she was arrested by police for domestic violence, a case that sparked widespread discussion at the time. Now, on the eve of The Bachelorette's premiere, this past incident has resurfaced, prompting police to reopen their investigation. Filming for the reality show, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, in which she appears, has been suspended as a result, and ABC has even canceled the latest season of The Bachelorette, in which she was set to star. With the season already nearing its premiere, this last-minute cancellation represents a massive financial loss. Taylor Frankie Paul may face prosecution based on the findings of the new investigation, and could even be held liable for the significant financial losses her personal conduct has caused the show. What are your thoughts on this? ABC.
Let's get it. Let's get it. First and foremost, again, I have no idea who she is. Never heard of her before. I don't even have regular TV anymore. I'm all on the Fire Stick, Netflix, etc., etc. So if that show is on any of those platforms or apps, I would have came across it more likely then. But the Bachelorette is not really my cup of tea, and for a number of reasons. I just don't believe in the idea of you really finding love on national television. It always felt inauthentic, scripted. So I stay away from it personally. I got Sydney in the studio. I'm gonna bring her up. Let me get the rest of my thoughts out real quick. But y'all not familiar with her, get familiar with her. Yeah, I don't know who she is. I've never watched the show. To me, it's just another one of those platforms that they feed you this false idea of what love look like, what the ideal husband and wife are supposed to look like. They give you basically words to recite throughout the show, the drama, the controversy, the build up, all that. I just don't feed into it or ever put lots of stock into it. Sid, what we're talking about is the Bachelorette show being canceled due to the woman that was supposed to be, I guess, the main star of the show. She ended up getting in some domestic violence trouble. In the video, she's assaulting a gentleman in the clip, and it's bad. It's really bad. And they just say, you know what? We can't put this show out there. You know, yeah, we're about to lose a lot of money on it, but what she just did here, on top of already having a history of domestic violence, yeah, we're just going to have to cut this. So, I don't know if you are familiar with the show, her, or any of the story, but I figured you could give a different perspective. Um, First of all, good evening. How are you?
I'm good. Just hanging out. Both my kids had the dentist this morning, so now they're asleep. Um, but other than that, I've just kind of been chilling and cleaning the house, the usual stuff. Um, I have never watched The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. Um, the only things I know of it are because my classmates in middle school were obsessed with that show. And so they would come to school talking about each episode. And one of the teachers watched also. And so she would talk about it in class with everyone as well. So even though I don't know much about the show, I still at least know what the show is, like what the premise is and what the vibe is like. um but I in regards to the topic itself, it makes sense that they would close it down because of her. Um with how it is nowadays, people get canceled for a lot now. They don't want that behavior to be connected to the image of the TV show. So even though it was a lucrative business, it was probably one of those like cut your losses, cancel the show, we can find something else to do that isn't associated with the person that was being violent. So it would make sense that they canceled the whole show. I know they did that to Chris Hansen's show as well. Different reasons, but still. So yeah, I think it's unfortunate, an unfortunate example of what happens when you one are not a very nice person in your relationship, and when you allow that to dictate how you behave. I'm not sure if this was an in the house experience or something that she had been witnessed doing, but not smart. If you're in that industry, not smart.
We don't talk about domestic violence enough, especially with women putting their hands on men. Like, I don't know what the dynamics of her household is like, but for her to have already had a history of this should have already been a red flag, especially for me personally. If I'm running a business and I have a reputation to uphold, a brand to protect, I want you guys to enjoy the content that I'm putting out or the material I'm distributing through different stores or wherever. Me, I can't have you putting a stain on my last name because of your inability to control yourself. You have these wild impulses and this entitlement, because I don't understand why you feel the need in any situation to put your hands on another human being. Unless you're defending yourself, you have no excuse. But in this case, she is just days away from, I guess this is a pretty big deal for a lot of people. They prepared. They waiting for the show. They excited. And then this happened. And it's like, what's been going on leading up to this? And I say this all the time. Y'all keep on worshiping and idolizing these people. You see one thing on screen, they got all this makeup on, the fancy dresses, the sparkling lights, all the attentions and cameras are on them. They give you the Miss Pageant smile, but off screen, they look like they done stood in the rain for straight. Their clothes is a mess, their hair is a mess, their continence is a mess, and they don't look nothing like what you see on television. It's like, damn, got me again. How many times you got to be fooled by these people? They're just humans, just like you and me. So I feel like I put a lot of blame on the company for bringing her back. There's so many different things I want to address here. I just want to say, like, this could have been prevented still. It didn't have to get this far. And you didn't have to lose out on this money. You didn't. And a part of me is like, well, did y'all already know she had this history? And if you knew she had this history, why would you risk bringing her back, knowing that this could happen again? Are you?
Has she, so you said, why'd they bring her back? So she's been canceled before, or she just had committed this crime before and was able to come back?
Well, I'm assuming that she's not a new face. I'm just assuming. Like I said, I don't know who she is. I never watched her a day in my life. I never watched The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. I can't stand them shows, but they're entertaining for people. My thing is, just like anybody else on any other platform, rap, whatever the situation is, if you got something going on with you, if it got anything to do with abuse, you get canceled or you get met with some type of scrutiny, depending on who you are. Some people get protected more than others, but you definitely not coming back. I'm not about Will Smith is one of like 4 or 5 other people who are no longer invited to an award show. That's what I'm talking about. Y'all seen the history, so you said, nah, we can't have this here. That's what I'm talking about. Why would you even bring her back knowing what you know about her? That's bad business to me.
I wonder if, to a degree, they're still doing it partially for the attention. If they, for example, like news media is famous for this, where they are talking about a certain issue or news story, and they bring the same person back over and over, especially if it's like a really dramatic event or whatever. They always bring in these experts that can like effectively fearmonger and whatever, because it gets them more ratings. People like things that are really dramatic, so it makes me wonder if they haven't completely dropped her yet, because she could be lucrative in some way. I know how these companies like to take advantage of people and overlook, like, unless there's a super solid line drawn in terms of their behavior and our interest in those people, they might try and revive that individual if they were previously lucrative because, well, profit. They can, I mean, I'm sure a lot of those people in higher up positions also probably behave the same way. So I think it is partially ironic that they'd be happy canceling somebody to appease the public, but they're also simultaneously the same types of people. And again, that's just my speculation. I don't really know any of these people involved. But just knowing the all powerful and how they are and all this stuff coming out just in every arena of like celebrities and politicians, priests, religious leaders, like all sorts of people are being exposed as abusive individuals or otherwise. So yeah, it wouldn't be surprising to me if profit still was coming first in some ways. But I honestly think that if you commit a crime like that, if you commit violence against any person, you really shouldn't be allowed back to society like that because you can't be trusted, especially because most of the time in domestic violence, when one person tries to leave, the other person is significantly at higher risk of being killed. I was looking at these stats the other day. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think it's like 70% or 80% of domestic violence related murders are because the person tried to leave. I don't know what kind of person she was, because obviously there are different types of domestic abuse. Berating a person constantly, like emotionally abusing them, insulting them, gaslighting, you name it. All those things are considered abuse, on top of obviously the physical abuse and abuse that can also happen in marriages. So I have no idea what her thing is, but just hazarding a guess, I'm guessing she's probably physically violent and verbally abusive, because that's most commonly what, like, if you go off profiles, what women act like. So that behavior is not going to be limited to just your spouse. So even workplaces should be cautious about allowing somebody who has a domestic violence charge in, because it's likely they will apply that to other people as well.
Deanne said, aren't there also news reports that during her violent episode, she also accidentally hit a small child? Yeah. I actually got the video. That's the one I tried to play, but I don't want YouTube to try to strike me for it. She actually did. The child was right there as getting into it with the guy that was trying to get away from her. He's telling her, stop, 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 and he's recording it as he should. And it was a little girl, if I'm not mistaken, that was a witness to it. So yeah, she went off. It was bad. It was hard to watch. And I'm with you on that. Like, that should be automatic. You should just be done. There's no conversating about that. Your brand deals, anybody that was sponsoring you, I see that. I'm automatically cutting ties with that. I don't want to be associated with you in no way, shape, form, or fashion. I don't know what the content or the context of the argument went. Me listening to him and how she was, I can tell just from that she has a history. She has a temper. Um, and I don't know how long he's been dealing with her, but put it this way. There's more situations or scenarios like that than people really know about, where women are actually aggressors in the relationship, co-parenting or whatever the case may be, and we don't see that. That's not what media wants to be painted. So when you actually see it for the first time, it's kind of weird. You're not used to it unless you're scrolling on certain websites where it's more frequently shown. You're not really gonna pour into those concepts oftentimes, but I don't know where that stemmed from, that level of attitude stemmed from. I don't know if it's because you're just not used to being disciplined or held accountable. So the more that you're not held accountable, you build this immune or invisibility cloak around you where you feel like you can just walk around and treat people the way you want and do things how you want. But if this doesn't stop her and put her in her place where she's humbled and she has to get some serious help for this, I don't know what else will, especially since she did this in front of a kid.
Generally, domestic, this isn't the case all the time because there are always exceptions. But generally, domestic abuse occurs because somebody was either exposed to domestic violence themselves in a past relationship, or they were subjected to either abuse directly from their parents or witnessed the domestic violence between their parents. So, or the person has a mental illness or a personality disorder that makes it harder for them to interact with other people. You can also get domestic violence out of somebody being raised improperly or like having an unstable household, so they developed like erratic behavior or habits. But yeah, a lot of the time it's because they've witnessed that type of behavior themselves, or it was just kind of like what you said, never corrected when they were younger and they grew up with these maladaptive traits. And often people who are abusive based on like psychological profiles, they are highly manipulative. They're typically they have control issues. They also have more of like a dominating personality, where they might feel the need to enforce their power on other people. So this is also kind of why I said it can show up in workplaces as well. They also tend to have a quick temper or a deep anger. And then what was the last bit? They also tend to not handle their own emotions effectively. When they experience their emotions, they don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to respond appropriately and will either completely ignore their thoughts and act irrationally, or they will just act out on an accident because they don't have control of their impulses. again, I don't know what her history is, but she, as I kind of said before, she really ruined her chance at being in public with this, because this behavior generally doesn't just exist in a bubble. And once people classify her behavior under that umbrella, even minor behavioral issues in public are immediately going to make people think of that past. And I think it's going to make it incredibly hard for her to get back into the business at all. I mean, we've already seen, you brought up a couple, how easy it is for us to disgrace celebrities for behavior that they've done, and how rapidly they can basically be removed from the public eye, even for more minor behavior, even for just having a terrible personality. People can get canceled really easily. So it was definitely very foolish of her. I mean, it's foolish of anybody to display that behavior towards a partner. And if you are a perpetrator, it's incredibly important that you seek medical help, because domestic violence is a two-way street, and even a person abusing another person could end up getting killed themselves. And it's best when you identify behaviors early on, the earlier the better, that are maladaptive, that cause problems in your relationship in a way that damages how people, like, damages a person physically or emotionally. That is when you want to seek help. Whichever side of the relationship you're on, it's very important to address domestic violence as early as possible, because it can escalate rapidly. It's really unfortunate, but a majority of murder cases that involve spouses are linked to domestic violence. And they've had a history of that before. So so it's important for this to, it's sad because it's not a subject that we want to stay away from and avoid talking about, but with the way the news media does it, they're going to talk about her, but they're not going to talk about the repercussions and the signs of domestic violence. Again, it still goes back to money, where, yeah, they're removing her, but it's to protect their image. They don't genuinely care about the issue itself. And I highly doubt they're doing any campaigns on their own to, like, bring awareness to domestic violence, raise money for domestic violence survivors, or anything remotely productively related to her crimes. Because, yeah, I think, honestly, with big business like that, they should take partial responsibility for who they hire's behavior, because if you're putting them on screen, if you're advertising for them, if you're getting them out there, you're also responsible for repairing the damage that they had done. So yeah.
Oh, you brought up a good point, and I find it ironic that they titled their shows "The Bachelor" and "The Bachelorette," and then what you end up having is a group of unstable men and women on your roster for both shows, and you don't know anything about it. First of all, you're just telling me that you're completely oblivious to it. Quick story time. Um, I applied for two different shows I filled out the application. I think one was for Love is Blind, and then another one was for like what was it called? It was like the real world. It was like a challenge. Uh, they what they do is you fill out this form. They ask you a bunch of questions about your personality and et cetera, and then you gotta give them like a quick little audition tape to show your personality, I guess. And then if they decide to move forward with you, cool. Needless to say, I didn't get called back. I didn't expect to. I'm too old for it anyway. Um, I just wanted to see for myself what the environment looked like, right? And I'm saying that all to say this. I don't think they not only care about the abuse, I don't think they understand that this is still an opportunity for them to bring more awareness to it. You can't cool. All right. You can spin that still. Turn it into a positive where you're speaking with people who are victims of it. Or you can set up something where you have people who are qualified to have those conversations. Don't just say, "Oh, we don't tolerate this," and then you you gone for a season, and then next year you're back again to try it over. And what you gonna do? You're gonna go down a long list of women who didn't make the cut the first time. Oh, we want her, but she's so we're gonna go with the next one, and then you're gonna try it again without ever really addressing, well, your show is supposed to be about finding love and this, that, and the third, but what's up with your contestants? Are they even stable? You know what I'm saying? Then on top of that, I don't know what's real. I don't know what's scripted. I don't know if any of this stuff is really. I hate the media sometimes. I really do. Because I'll be wondering, is this staged really? Are you? But she did this in front of the kid. He's trying his best to get away from her. I don't know. I don't know. It's sad. It really is because he could have died. She could have stabbed him, and that would have been it. I know the kid got to be traumatized. I wouldn't doubt this would be the first time they saw this before. Like many people in abusive situations. But I do believe they have a chance to do something special with this. I don't think they realize it. I don't know if they're going to go take that angle or not. But if it was me, I wouldn't. I don't know. I would turn that negative into a positive. It wouldn't be a whole Bachelorette thing. Like I would bring the season back maybe next year or something like that. But I want to address this first because I know there's people who watch these shows and they're like, "Oh, Romeo, where art thou, Romeo?" You know, and they really be into these things, man. And they see this right here. Oh, yeah, that's just my take though.
Yeah, people can really get invested in these shows. As soon as I saw the title, my mind just flashed back to like 7th grade, where all my classmates would, all the girl classmates would like come back in the room and be like, "Oh my God, did you see last night? Did you see blah, blah, blah?" God, I was like, I remember just was, I didn't even want to participate. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I don't understand how this is interesting to you. I've always been that like documentary girl. And so hearing everyone like freak out over 2 random people, I never got it. But it's just, from what I remember, it seemed so shallow and like scripted, I guess, fake. And I still do wonder what it's actually like behind the scenes for a lot of these shows. Such a like, what's that one show? 60 Days In. Like, I remember I did get into that one with my husband, and I remember thinking a lot like, I wonder if this is what it's actually like when they're being filmed, or like how it's different. Because even like the news and everything is not what you'd expect. And yeah, and I also, when I would follow celebrity stuff more, a high percentage of the people that were on The Bachelor or Bachelorette ended up getting divorced within like 5 years. The majority of those relationships did not last. And I think maybe I saw a list of 5 that had a marriage that was like 10 years and they have kids and a dog and a house. But the majority of them just like 6 months after the show, a year after the show, 4 years after the show, they're fighting or apart. So I've never really seen much of it, but the clips that I have seen were so just, I don't know, I could not relate at all. And if I was there, I would feel foolish. Like, if I was in that position, I'd be like, this is so corny and cheap. Like, this is not fun. So, but that's just my own personal experience with the show. In regards to their handling of the show, I can't say I'm surprised at all. Kind of going back to everything that I said earlier, when things are for profit, it doesn't really care. They don't really care about the quality. They care about what they can do with the money that they have in the cheapest way possible. So, yeah.
I want to segue into this next one. I'm not going to play the clip. I wanted to. I thought about doing it, but I'm gonna leave that one. A rapper by the name of Boosie. He made a video. He made multiple videos. He's expressing his frustrations. He's tired. This broke his spirit a little bit. A woman came out and basically said, this rapper inappropriately touched me and abused me when I was 5 years old. And so, any allegations like that on anybody, that is a rap. Like, domestic violence and abuse, that's one thing. You tell somebody that a man did sexually explicit things to you, don't matter if you're innocent, you can prove that you're innocent. Once somebody says that about you, that's stuck with you. even if people just say, well, they proved it was wrong, but it's always going to be in the back of your mind. Anyway, he's on the internet. He says, look, man, I'm paying $1,000 per name. Give me a name of the grandmother, the dad, the cousins, the uncles. I need to know who this woman is. I'm taking her to court and I'm suing her for defamation of character. You are telling the world that I did this to you when you were 5 years old. Oh, you're going to have to stand on that. Period. And the false allegation stuff, that's what this is about. I might have to play the clip. I might have to play the clip. What's your thoughts though?
Well, one, if he is actually a perpetrator, I mean, shame on him for trying to put that person through a whole trial just to get out of it. I could definitely see that as a tactic to try and evade having to go to trial for the actual event. To like preemptively make it feel like it's a lie, but I don't know. With the story, I find it hard to believe that she would be making it up because it's such a young age. But at this, and then also like, I know that fake allegations are definitely a problem. But I don't know. Again, I'd have to kind of see her, or like see her story, because you can kind of tell when people are telling the truth or not by how many details they're putting in. But again, there's also factors that affect that based on like what her actual experience was, like what happened, how she was made vulnerable in the moment, which can definitely affect her recollection. And it is at that age where your memories are more subject to change from external experiences later on. Our our memories haven't really been solidified in the brain at that age. We're only just starting to develop memory capacity, or like long-term memory capacity. So it could have been mistaken memory, but again, I'd want to look into the evidence itself and how what her story is to kind of judge. But I mean, with everything that's happening, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Like at this point, it's kind of sad how desensitized we've gotten to the idea of powerful people being certain types of criminals. It like we've gotten very blasé about it, where we see the news, we're like, oh look, another one. Wow, what do you know? So and so did that to a child. Oh wow, I'm so shocked. Like it's becoming so prevalent and obvious that the rich and powerful have been taking advantage of us in many different ways over the past decades and hidden it, that it doesn't surprise me that another celebrity is being potentially exposed for that type of behavior. Yeah, so I'm honestly inclined to believe that the victim is telling the truth. But I mean, you never know, because there are the flip stories that have occurred as well, where somebody is actually trying to get money and fame out of it and it makes it up.
I'm waiting for trial. Matter of fact, put it this way. God know. We might not never know the truth. I hate the fact that people are playing around with this stuff so much. You don't know what to take serious. You don't know what to believe. You want to believe it, but you don't want to believe it. I've gotten to the age where I just leave it in God's hands. I don't I don't put a lot of faith in man to do the right thing anymore, especially the justice system. It's just too flawed. They need a factory reset. Just start all over. Do something. Um, I wouldn't be surprised either way it go at this point. Honestly, the true judge will decide what's what here. I do commend him for responding as quickly as he did. That doesn't necessarily exclude him from it being the truth, but it's definitely more than what we're getting with the Epstein files. I'm on the fence. I'm the person. I God Himself tell me He's innocent or guilty. I don't believe a word a single human being in the industry, anybody that's making over X amount a year, and you're in a specific profession, I have a hard time trusting your word for much. And then on top of that, not even just factoring that in, but people are desperate. They desperate to sue. They desperate for a quick paycheck. Some folks want you to silence them. They want you to pay them to keep their mouth closed. It's so much that humans do for money. How do you even go to court for something like that? How do you prove something like that? You say you were 5 years old, and you're how old now? You know what I'm saying? And like, I'm not even saying that that's not a thing, because I have personal personal experiences with that within my household, where this type of stuff has happened. So I'm not saying it don't. I need I need the trial. I need testimony. I need backstory. I need, like you. I need to hear her speak. I need to hear his side. I need, but you can only get so much. That's why I don't like this. Please, man, don't. If it didn't happen, don't put that on somebody. And if it, because like you're making it harder for the people who this actually happened to, you're making it harder for them. I'm so over it. I just seen a situation earlier where a man did 16 years for something he didn't do. So it's like, come on, come on. It's hella frustrating. And like, my thoughts and prayers go out to anybody who's really victims of it on both sides. You're a victim of the lies, and you're actually a victim of the abuse. Nothing to joke about. I would never in a million years put that on somebody. I'm glad you put that number up. Because somebody actually responded to a clip where you were talking about, I believe we did this show last week about getting help for abuse. And they commented and said that they had some things going on with them. And the courts didn't really do nothing for her. They gave the brother 6 months, let him back out. He still has visitation rights, but nothing actually changed. And that's just awful to me. So moving forward, we got to do better. If you are a rapper, a producer, a CEO, a manager at Safeway, and you gotta know the risk of getting involved with these different energies that you're not familiar with. Not just to protect yourself, but to protect them and everybody around you too. You can't afford to be in these type of scandals. All it takes is one time. All it takes is one time. And that's pretty much where I stand with it. Do you have any final thoughts or words for this or any of the Bachelorette stuff, just in general?
Well, the only thing I really wanted to make sure I add in is I put up the phone number for the domestic abuse hotline, and I want it out there just in case anybody is dealing with a situation like this, because unfortunately these types of situations can start very subtly but escalate rapidly once somebody has shown an interest in leaving the relationship. So it's incredibly important to pay attention to your instincts. And if you feel like the person you are with, regardless of whether they're male or female, is potentially a risk to you and your health, seek help. And don't be afraid to vouch for yourself, because it is true that a lot of times cops will kind of, oh, no, it's not that big of a deal. You're probably just exaggerating in your mind or whatever. Like, they'll say what they can to get out of work, paperwork, all that stuff, and also to not cause issues where there's no issues or whatever. They have their reasons. But if this is happening to you, be persistent. Make sure that you get help somehow and you get out of that situation, because it can be very dangerous. Whatever happened between these individuals, and or at least for the Bachelorette, whatever went on between her and her spouse, clearly it was enough to raise red flags. And who knows what the whole situation was. But any situations like that are unacceptable. To treat the person that you are supposed to love and care for like that is unforgivable. Like, you're really taking advantage of the person that is the most integrated into your life. And I just feel bad for people that are in that situation. Because I know what it's like. I've been lucky to have not had somebody that was physically abusive. But I have had relationship situations where I wanted to leave, but I didn't have anywhere to go. So I can understand how much it's going to affect your life to have to go through something like that. So I wanted that resource to be available for anybody in those situations. And again, go back to our previous video where we talked about this. If you wanted to understand more about what signs to look out for in these situations, this applies to children as well as adults. So be wary if you have certain feelings, indications about the person that you're with, because it could save your life. So don't, if you really feel like you need the help, don't listen to everyone else who are like, oh, you're just making it up. It's not that big of a deal, whatever. Your life is worth more than that. Worth more than a passive response. So keep that in mind and be nice to people. Come on. What are we doing? Like, we're at a point where we're being abused at every single angle by rich companies and rich politicians and awful people. And we're going to treat each other like that too. No, we need to start working together because we don't need this. We don't need this treatment. So, yeah, hopefully a new show replaces Bachelorette that is better.
Yeah, Bachelor, that show ain't going nowhere. They, like I said, they're gonna replace her with somebody else, and they're gonna try to pretend like we didn't see what we saw. They're gonna try to forget about it. I know they are. That's the messed up part about it. Instead of facing it head on, you're just gonna nah. But I hope she gets help. I hope the kid that was a witness to it doesn't utterly become shattered by that. Good luck to Boosie and this case that he's pursuing. I hope justice is actually served. I hope you get a chance to utilize that number if you need to. Hopefully, you're not in a situation where you have to. Shout outs to everybody that pulled up. I see at least 3 new faces that showed up tonight for the show. And I appreciate y'all for being here with us. Sydney, I appreciate you for being here tonight as well. You guys enjoyed the rest of your weekends. I do have a show tomorrow night. So if you're in the building, tap in. And yeah, do me a solid before you go if you don't mind.
Have a good weekend.
Peace.